week, I'm going to bring you all kind of refreshing topics, provide you with practical motivation. I hope this podcast offers you a dose of positivity and help you navigate life's ups and downs and keep you aware of things that are going on in life and with all of life challenges, whether you're looking for healing from past trauma or finding resolutions to issues or simply just need a boost of encouragement, you are in the right place. So if you are here and you are new and you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, Real Conversation, Real Motivation podcast, please go over to YouTube and subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, Michele Bradford, Michele with one L, Bradford, or RCRM, Instagram, RCRM, TikTok, RCRM, Twitch, RCRM, Twitter, RCRM, or wherever on any of the other social media platforms. I want to thank you all for coming here. I appreciate you. And I want to let you know that we are on episode 18. Episode 18 is all about how to date online and are these people catfishers? To beware of catfishers. So this podcast was motivated and encouraged by several of my girlfriends and family members, especially ladies who are not dating right now. They haven't met anybody and they are in their middle age, from 55 to 60, and they're afraid of dating online. Also, there is another person that I know that she has been dating online exclusively. Actually, I have several girlfriends that are dating online exclusively, like myself, and many of them are new to it and they don't know what to look for. And so I thought, as a person who's been dating online since 2002, I would kind of give you guys some healthy advice. I will tell you some of my experiences, but I want you to be careful out there in this world because there are some people out there that's trying to get your coin, or somebody's trying to hurt you, or they're just bored and they are laptop or keyboard warriors just trying to waste your time or prank you or whatever. So we're going to talk about this, and I hope that something that I say will resonate with you and help you along the way. So as a person who's been dating online since 2002, I've dated a lot of men online. Some of them I've been in relationships with or somewhat relationships with, and other ones I've just been friends with. But I will tell you, over the last few years, I've dated a lot less online. I'm still online a couple of little places, but most of the time we never get past a conversation online, or I use a Google Voice number or some kind of text app number to talk to them. And that keeps me safe. So what do I do? So I'm going to talk about a few things about dating online, and then things that you might be able to resonate with as far as, some of the things that I do as well. So let's talk about dating online first. So let me get this for you. All right, here. So different things that you need to do, questions that you do as far as dating online. So the first thing I'm going to say is, don't put all your business out in the street online, but put enough information so that somebody can say they're interested or not. Make sure that you put up pictures that are within the last 6 months. Do not put pictures online that are old. But vice versa, the person that you are looking for, please be very specific on what you're looking for. You don't have to be vague. So, whatever you're looking for, they'll try to match you with as close as possible. And so if you're looking for somebody's 40 or 50 or 60, make sure that you're doing the date range 40, 50, or 60. But also, you need to make sure that they have photographs, and you make sure that these are things that you check. If they don't have any photographs, swipe left. Do not even think about swiping right on them, because if they don't have pictures, that means they don't have time to even put up a proper profile. The second thing is making sure they have a profile. A lot of people will not put anything on their profile. They'll just put pictures up. And I'm like, if you're going to waste your time and not put up a profile with things that you're interested in, your religion or your height or your weight, do you have children or not? Just simple things, maybe where you're from and where you're living currently. The simple things that you wanted just to kind of get a glimpse in who a person is. So making sure they have a profile. So that eliminates two things right there. So in a lot of the dating sites, well, the ones that I have experienced recently, they now have a verified type of badge that you can put on your profile. And what that means is a person can take their phone and they can scan their face. And as they scan their face, the system is verifying that you are a real person. And then once you get done and they verify, it'll have you verified so that, you have more of a chance of meeting a real true person than some scammer. And, I like that. That gives me a little bit more security. I won't say that it's 100%, but it is a little bit more security. The few people that I've dated recently, I've dated 4 people since last year. So about a year, I went on 4 dates, and all 4 of them have been who they say they were based off of verification. And so, if you're interested in dating people of all cultures, don't put any type of what culture. But if you're interested in only dating Black, then you put Black. If you're only interested in dating white, you put white. So it's completely up to you that you make sure that you set up your profile and you put current pictures, and they do the same thing. I won't say online dating is easy, but so many people talk about dating in person, meeting somebody in person. Meeting somebody in person is even worse to me because you don't get to vet them. You go to the gas station, a guy walks to you, hey baby, how you doing? Can I take you out? Can I have your number? You go to a club, same thing. You talk to them, you see them at face value, but you don't know much about them at that moment when they're trying to talk to you or get to know you or whatever in that moment. People are going to portray themselves in a certain kind of light. And the thing is, at least with online dating, you're getting a little bit more information about that person in advance before you provide them with the phone number. So providing them with the phone number. Again, do not give them your correct phone number. Now, I will say I am a hypocrite because depending on how I feel and depending on the person, depending on how much conversation that we have online at that time, I may or may not give you my real number. So let me just tell you like this. There's a guy I'm dating right now. Really like him. We've only been talking a week. We've already gone on 1 date. We're ready to go on a 2nd date. I gave him my real number right off the bat. Everything was feeling right. Everything felt good. And we had a great time. The guy before him, I gave him my Google number and he knew it was Google number and he felt kind of offended. And I told him I just wanted to be friends. We ended up not working out because I just wanted to be friends and he wanted more than that. And I wasn't interested in him in that way. So the one before him, I gave him my real number and he ended up ghosting me. I don't know why. We had a great time. So online dating can't be challenging, but you meet people, you get to know people a little bit better than you do meeting somebody in the streets. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to online date. That's scary, blah, blah, blah. But it's even more scarier if meeting somebody on the streets and you don't know nothing about them. And, they could be anybody. And you're talking to them right there. They have your license plate number. They looking at you in your face. I like to be able to window shop before I buy. So let's think about some of the questions that you need to ask yourself when you are, what you want to ask when you want to match. So talking to somebody new online is exciting. You never know what you're going to talk about, especially someone you might spend a little time with or even spend your life with. So some of the questions that you may want to ask them collectively, even before you meet that person, ask them some questions about their life. So what are you passionate about? What are your short-term and long-term goals? Would you consider your values traditional or progressive? What are your biggest fears in life? Are you religious? What is your role in the religion? How's it played in your life? What do you do in your spare time? There's a lot of things. Are you spontaneous or are you a planner? Do you tend to focus more on the bigger picture or a little more detail? Do you prefer to go out or stay in? Do you prefer being inside or outside? What kind of sense of humor would you say you have? Would you consider yourself a morning person or a night owl? So these are things that you're just trying to get to know the person and they can answer the same questions. You can send them these questions and then you can answer the questions, or you can send them one at a time or whatever. But while you are talking to this person, there are things that you need to evaluate even before you give out a phone number, even before you go any further. Number one, ask them to send, ask them if you're able to, you may not be able to, but ask them, questions about where they live. Maybe um, some mile markers, some different like staple area, different restaurants or things like that. And they should try. I will say, ask them, if you say I live in Kansas City, what part of Kansas City? If you are from Kansas City, they're going to say, I'm from the North End. I'm from the South. I live North Kansas City, or I live South Kansas City, or I live Midtown or Metro. Most people say Midtown. If you're in Florida, somebody say, I live in Tampa. So what part of Tampa? Are you in Seminole? Or, sorry, not Seminole. Are you in, Wesley Chapel? Are you in New Tampa? Are you in Plant City? Where are you at in Tampa? Are you downtown? And in what part of downtown? And because you're trying to make sure this person is a real person, even though you might find them and they might be validated as far as their photographs, you still want to ask some questions. So and then once you start asking the questions and you feel more comfortable and you want to give them your phone number and go to the next level, if they ask you to join a Kik or a WhatsApp or any of that stuff, that is a super duper red flag. As soon as somebody says join an app that you can text or whatever, it probably is from another country. So because you don't want to do that, you want to be able to control the narrative. So what I suggest you to do is get the Google Voice. You can pick out the phone number, the area code, you can set it up and you can use that number and they know it's a Google Voice. And so the thing is that you're getting to know that person. They should not care if you have a Google Voice, especially if you're a woman. Say, you know what? I'm a single woman. I'm trying to be cautious. I don't want to give out my real phone number until I'm comfortable. I hope you're okay with that. That period. And so with that being said, my suggestion would be using Google Voice, and then you guys exchange numbers. I'll tell you, some of the guys that's been out there on, that have been out there on online dating. The third guy before the one that ghosted me, he had a Google Voice as well. So the thing is that, and I said I gave him my number, but I gave him Google Voice. So we did use Google Voice between the two of us. But anyway, so he had Google Voice as well. And I think it's very cautious tale if somebody is saying, why didn't you give me your real number? Or they're upset about the number. It's not about that. If they respect you and they really want to get to know you, they will let you have a process. That is your boundary. So you let them know your boundary. The second thing is, once you give them your phone, the third thing is, once you give them your phone number, ask them to send you a picture with your name spelled out with the marker so that you can verify that they're a real person. Because number one, with Google Voice, you don't have video chat. You can't do any of that, right off the bat. So I will tell you a funny story. I had a feeling he was not from this country. And I asked him to send me a photograph and I had a Google Voice. He sent me a picture of him with a lady holding a sign. And you could tell that it was an award for being in the military. But in the middle of the sign, it had fake font, Michele. And you can tell it was fake. And I told him so. I didn't even tell him. I just deleted him and blocked him. So you can know really quickly if somebody is a real person or not. So also, they may not be from another country. They may be from the United States. But it doesn't matter. The first thing you got, if you live in another country, if they're in your same country, or if you're in the United States and they're in the United States, the thing is that, people are using other people's photos because they have insecurities. They don't, they might think they're fat or ugly or whatever. And so they're catfishing. There's other people that are out there scamming, and they're trying to find older women or middle-aged women who are lonely to try to get them to send them money. So there's all kinds of things that are going on in this world. So you have to be very careful with, how much information you divulge. And then, basically determining, what the next steps are. You are in control of this narrative, not that person. So these are things that I've been wanting to do something like this for a very long time. And I just know that right now, after talking to many people, that, they don't do online dating. And so they just sit at home and they don't do anything. They don't have a partner. They don't anything. And so I will tell you, for a very long time, I have not been in a relationship. And the reason why I haven't is because I've been working on myself. It wasn't on purpose. It's just one year turned into another year, turned into another year. Being a person who has been sick their whole life, I settled for a lot of men that did not deserve me. They did not put me in as a priority. They did not commit to me. They were cheaters. They would go out and do things. And then here I am. I'm sick. So I felt like I didn't have a choice but to settle for this person because of me going through whatever I'm going through. So I decided, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, I'm going to college. I started working for a company where I traveled the United States by myself. And I moved to a place where I feel better because my body doesn't hurt as much as it did in Kansas City. But it's a very lonely place. But I feel like, God put me here in order to elevate me to be a better person. And so as I'm doing that, I've probably gone on less than 10 dates, maybe 15 since I've been here 8 years. I did date a guy when I first moved here, and he was not good for me. And I kicked in. We weren't in a committed relationship. We were just dating casually, but he was very wishy-washy. He didn't have my best interest at heart. And so I kicked him to the curb. But from that point on, I can tell you, I didn't date hardly anybody here. I would go on one date, and that's all I would have is one day. I figured one day I will have a second date. But today, I did this one date with him and it didn't work out. I'm not trying to force a square peg in a round hole. And so that's what you have to do. Don't be so eager to meet somebody that you forget to protect yourself. So you need to be very thoughtful in your life. So I can tell you guys more about, questions to ask on the first date or questions that you shouldn't ask, but you can always go online and figure out, and Google that type of stuff. There's all kinds of things that you can do and ask questions when you go on your first date, or things that you shouldn't ask. And so some of the things that you need to ask yourself when you're setting up your profile, like, what am I looking for? What is my goal in online dating? Am I looking for something casual, serious, or in between? What are my deal breakers? Do I have a plan in place to safely date online? That is a very good one. That's a very, very good one. So, that is, we're going to talk about that. So, let's see here. Sorry about that. All right. So will I let someone pick me up on the first date? I'm going to say that's a no, never. Don't let nobody, and don't invite them to your place right away. When you first meet somebody, you need to be at least on 3 to 4 dates before you start, probably even more than that. But some people, it might be 2 or 3, but at least 3 or 4, before you start having people coming to your place, picking you up. Where do I stand with physical intimacy? Am I comfortable with going out, giving out my phone number? No. Use a chat app, like I said. What am I looking for? So that's, it sounds super basic, but you need to be specific. You need to be detailed in your answer, because it's very important. This is like, you want to be casual. You don't want to have an interview. You want to have fun. You want to laugh, that type of stuff in your dating. So the next thing, as far as dating, we talk about like dating online and what to do for yourself, how to be careful. But the one thing I will say that I looked up on, I believe it was AARP. And AARP talks about how to be safe online and avoid getting scammed. So there's some tips that they provided, and I wanted to share those with you first. And so create a new email just for online dating. I completely agree with that. Use a separate email than anything that you have. So all of that will go to one email and not clutter up your good email. Use photos that are only appear on your profile. Do not publish or give out personal financial information. That should be a given. Ask lots of questions. Do a Google search of your match. Never send people money meet in person in a public place, and block suspicious users and report them to the site. So those are just a few things that AARP has. So we're going to talk about how to protect yourself. And this is also part of AARP as well. If they live far away and you can't meet them in person, and they claim that they live in another country or abroad for business or military or deployment or charity work, that's a red flag. You know, if you see their profile where they say that he's a oil engineer, and him and his daughter, he's a widow and his daughter is with him overseas, and he'll be back, and he's trying to set up something before he gets back or something, that's a red flag. And when you plan something with somebody, what if you get to the point where you want to do a video chat and that person never wants to video chat with you? They schedule meetings with you, but they never show up, or they cancel. Or they get to the point where they're so comfortable with you and they think everything is fantastic, so they start asking you for money, or they want you to invest in a business opportunity. That's definitely a red flag. So you have to really protect yourself. But these are boundaries. You put boundaries in place in your real life every day. Just like you put boundaries in your real life every day, you need to put boundaries in your online social media and your online dating. Just like you do on your Facebook, on your Instagram, you need to protect yourself. You do the same thing with online dating. You prepare yourself. So one of the things that I always say, don't overshare. You give them enough information. That's all you need to give them. You also discuss the person that you decide you're going to go out with this person. Make sure somebody knows that you're going out with them and what they look like. Just in case something happens to you, people are aware of what's going on. And also sharing with your family about like the people, and you're not sure, maybe they are scammers, but you've been so lonely and there's somebody to talk to. My friend who passed away last year, she used to talk to people on Instagram all the time, and I would tell her they scammers, and she's like, I know, but I'm bored and I don't have anybody to talk to. And so she would talk to them, and then eventually after about a few months they would start asking for money, and she's like, I'm broke, I don't have any money. And then all of a sudden they would stop talking to her. Or they would lie, cheat, and steal, and they would be in relationships or married or whatever, and she just would talk to them because she was bored. She didn't have any money. She was never going to go nowhere. They couldn't come and visit her. She just was bored and she wanted something to do. But if you're wanting to have a relationship with somebody, you have to really put in the work, just like you do in person. You can't just make it like, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm scared and these people are crazy, or they scammers. Yeah, but you have to make yourself accountable to keep yourself safe. So immediately cut off contact if you're suspicious of an individual being a scammer. Do not re-engage them. It is important that you put a lot of stuff in place to protect yourself, because it is very important. You make sure that that you keep yourself safe from harm. So red flags, some additional red flags that you can look for if they're really over eager. Oh man, I just want to marry you. I had one guy say, oh, you're so beautiful. He says, you're my wife. I claim you as my wife. Whatever. Vague and inconsistent profile. I've already told you, if there's no profile, if there's inconsistent, there's not enough information, that there's no pictures, or the pictures are old, or the pictures of him and somebody else in every single picture. There's no individual, like, separate picture of him by himself. Or the pictures are blurry. You can't really tell because the pictures are blurry. Or, like I said, they're super old. Or my pet peeve is men who put pictures of themselves with no shirt on online. That is a complete turnoff, and I'm completely just, swiping left, because I don't like that at all. So if they're really controlling or aggressive, or they avoid meeting it in person, and so we talked about that. If they keep trying to postpone and isolating you from friends and family, demanding behavior, and it's just There's a lot of things that you have to look for, but these are also things that you need to look for in person with the person that you're interested in. There's no difference. It's the same thing. And if you choose to be lax when you're dating somebody in person, you're going to have the same result where that person is either going to be a cheater, he could be a scammer, he could be a catfisher, he could be a rapist or a killer, he can be broke and just want somebody to take care of him. People are actors and actresses, and they're not going to put their first foot forward in who they really are for a little bit. But you got to keep your spidey sense open, because it can happen. So protecting yourself is very important, online dating. And I will tell you that don't be afraid, because it's only going to go as far as you want it to go. If you decide you just want to talk to people for right now, then that's what you do. If you decide you want to give them a Google app phone number and y'all just chat back and forth, that's what you do. Like my roommate, she talked to him on Instagram or whatever, and that's it. They would never want to get on camera or whatever, but she would chat with them because she was bored and she didn't have nobody to talk to. So she liked to be up in the middle of the night, so she would talk to people, and that's okay. So you have the boundaries. You control everything that's going on with this online dating, how far you go. And so I will tell you that I just started dating somebody, and this, after 4 dates in a year, since I moved here, I've had 4 dates, and none of them were Black. I decided I'm going to branch out. I've dated Black men. I've dated African. I've dated Cuban. I've dated Asian. I've dated Indian. I've dated Black. Like I said, Black, African American, Jamaican. I've dated men of all nationalities. And I am not going to limit myself on who prioritizes me, who loves me for me, who is down for me, who is financially secure. Somebody that is interested in getting to know me as a person, that dotes on me, that appreciates me as much as I do them. That's what I'm looking for in my life. And I'm not going to limit myself on who I date, but you control the narrative, period. So what I want to tell you, if you decide you want to go and do online dating, what sites do I recommend? Well, I will tell you that back in the day in 2002, when I first got on and started doing online, it was Black Planet. And I met several guys on Black Planet. I even went and flew to Dallas and met a guy from Black Planet. That was serious. And Tagged, Tagged. Now, when I started going on Tagged, it was my son's dad who told me about Tagged. And so I went on Tagged, and I actually dated somebody for 3 years on Tagged. He was a narcissist. He was, he always, he loved to spend money, but it was a control thing. And we fell out because he didn't want to commit, but he wanted, his cake and eat it too. And so I got tired of putting my best foot forward and being committed girlfriend, and he didn't want to commit. So, but I've had several guys in my life, and they all were cheaters. And so, I've been working on myself because it was my fault because I allowed them to do it. So you gotta get out of the mindset of meeting somebody in person, meeting somebody online. But Tagged is one of those that I did use in the past. I haven't used in a while. Bumble. So Bumble is one for the ladies. I don't use Bumble. I haven't used Bumble in years, but Bumble also has a Bumble friend kind of app, and they also have groups. So it has a different variety. Now, Tinder, I've never done, but I thought that was a hookup app. So I've never done Tinder, or I might have done it and I deleted it because I didn't like it. And my recent people that I've met recently, one was off of Facebook dating. And so I recommend Facebook dating. And then POF, it's a hit and miss with POF. They do have the validation of the photos, but a lot of people on there want to get hooked. I want to hook up. And I've heard many things about women that men tell me when they talk to women. And I've heard a lot of stuff about the men that, women that men talk about. So like my experience with men, but I've heard stuff about men and their experience with women. So There's, there's eHarmony, there's Match.com, there's, Black People Meet, there's Christian Mingle, there's all these places these different things that you can do, but they also have Meetup. So if you want to do a Meetup group in your area, you can also do Meetup and they have different things like that you might be interested in, and going to that and then meeting people, and maybe you meet somebody that way, because basically it's a group, and the group sets up a setup where they go to a restaurant, or they go out bowling, or they do all these things, and then you decide to go, and sometimes it costs and sometimes it doesn't, but you can go and meet people in person. So with all that being said, don't limit yourself on dating. Just say you want to date in person, online. And put yourself out there. There's a lot of us working from home, so we don't get out of the house much. We're always in the house. We may go to the grocery store, maybe to church, maybe to a department store or whatever, and occasionally might go out to a club, but who wants to meet somebody in the club? So don't limit yourself with just regular dating. Put your best foot forward. Be safe out there. Be conscious.